Ah, love the sound of a snapping knife first thing in the morning.
So I'm actually surprised about how compact all of their roof rack material is. Actually, everything came in just 2 boxes. Everything else has to come in the package, and it's all in here. I mean, it's pretty amazing. So I got the side rails kind of just up there. I haven't fitted the rest of them yet because now all I'm going to do is put my wind fairing on, and I got a wind fairing. Yes! That's what we're doing. So when we got night work, stick our work light right on there because even though it's only 6:30, the sun's going down now pretty fast. Do you think this has been a hard one?
Heck yeah!
Fan building. Hey, what do you got there?
We got our beautiful 80/20. Check it out.
All right, so this is nice. It came really packaged well. We actually are already tearing it apart and trying, so you can see some of the wrapping it comes in. Actually this is what it actually looks like when it comes in the box, packaged from Unaka. These rails here, they come so tightly packaged here. So these rails are inside this. They're really nicely tightly packaged. It comes with all of this protective stuff, and it comes with all of our hardware, bolts and gear. They got 2 boxes here, and this fits a floor plan that they helped us design. So based on the roof dimensions I gave them and what I'm going to be attaching to it, they gave me specs on it, and then they cut these pieces to those specs. And very helpful team over there. Okay, so we got the awesome. We're gonna lay everything out here first, and kind of get the look of it. And then what we're gonna do is take our platform pieces and stick them up there so that we can see where exactly we want our cross beams to go. So we're gonna put the outline of the frame out here based on the dimensions that we gave our people at Unaka, and then we're going to lay it out first, see where the cross beams got to go, see where our solar panels are going to lay out, and then we're going to do a mock-up and stick it on the roof. But we're going to start here first. And let me show you, it comes like this. So there's basically 2 boxes. I kind of just shredded it to open it all up, but I'm keeping those separate, box 1 and box 2, and then each of these rails, now remember they custom cut those depending on your size of your roof rack, but you can see the majority of them are my cross beams, which are 60.25 based on what I told them, and 63 inches I think goes with this 79 inch for the cross rails. So those are the long side rails. So we're going to put the side rails here, cross rails go across, and then we're going to have solar panels in the front and our wood platform in the back. And we're going to start putting that together and see what it looks like.
Ah, love the sound of a snapping knife first thing in the morning.
What do you use that knife for?
I'm going to cut me open some 80/20 and get ready for that platform.
FYI, since these are actually custom cut, a lot of them, they're going to come with some metal shavings in them. Just make sure you brush those out if you're worried about rust. I mean, this is all sealed and beautiful anodized. I don't know how to say it, but they do come with metal shavings that kind of flake off, so just to be aware of that. So just piecing it together to get an idea on a dry fit. This is kind of like what our roof rack will look like. We'll put a max air fan here in the middle, and then we have a wind fairing going in the front. This is the front, that's the back. Looks pretty good actually. The thing that we just noticed, so as we mentioned before in the platform build, these boards, they say they're 6 inches, but they're actually 5.5. So we ended up with a bit of spacing on both sides, which pretty much almost fits another slat. So And you see the darker board here in the middle. We've had a little issues with that one, so maybe if we got another 6x12, but I don't know if we have enough time for all of that.
So we could either get one more board and slice it in half, and then the halves would fit on either side, or you could get one more board, squish everything over, and cut off some of that. But I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, expand a little bit more. That's what you're thinking?
Okay, so I'm thinking the best option would be to get the one more board, cut it in half. But the other thing we were considering is we want to have some space here to be able to tie things off or attach different, whatever we need. And if it's completely over here, that's going to be difficult to do. So,
something to think about. We don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing, the other consideration, which you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just space them apart? Because neither one of us like the idea of spacing them apart. First of all, I don't love how it looks. Mostly I'm thinking, if we're going to sit little chairs up there, they're going to fall down in the middle. If we're going to have food, or I don't know, just whatever. I don't like having the space in. Vince doesn't like it either, so we're on board with that. So we're going to keep them together. So stay tuned. We'll let you know what we decide.
All right, so here's what it looks like with the Max Air fan. There's a lot of space in there, so that's great. There's a lot of spacing. However, I'm kind of curious now. We want to stick this on the roof now, just so that we can make sure this actually fits the same way, because we don't remember the Max Air having that much space on its sides. We thought it was a lot tighter with these panels, as well as there's a lot of space there on that side and that side of the platform. So we're gonna start putting this on the roof and see if that makes sense. So I'm actually surprised about how compact all of their roof rack material is. Actually, everything came in just 2 boxes. All of the hardware came in 2 boxes. And the roof rail, the entire package with the roof rails I was able to carry. It was a little heavy, I put it on my shoulder, but I could carry the whole package into the garage. And I was a little worried because all of these mounting brackets, everything else has to come in the package, and it's all in here. I mean, it's pretty amazing. They got the corner brackets, they got the brackets that attach the side rails to each other, and they got pretty good information online, an instruction manual to kind of get it all done. So we're just up here now doing the dry install. I kind of already went over the video that we when I attached the roof mounts, the mounts, I think that's calling it right, but they're the small little ones that she's pointing to right there. Yeah. So here's what the thing slides on. We're going to do the Unaka gear on the outside for them because they're a good brand. I like what they've done for me. These little rubber things are on here. I didn't have those on the previous video, but you just slide it on there. Make sure your rubber feet stay on. It's kind of a pain in the butt with the rubber feet, but there it goes. Boom. Kind of a little bit off angle with some of the existing stuff, but I think it'll be fine once we get everything material in it. Make sure the feet are good. And that's pretty simple. I mean, this thing is a nice, I'd like to be, it'll be a little bit more over there because it's kind of buttoned up against this. I don't know how I feel about that yet, but we'll see how that works out. Boom. Okay, so I'm putting the last 2 in here, and it's a pretty easy system. It comes with 2 washers and the bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out. Before. You got this plate, one of them goes over the nub, as you can see in here. It's got a little slot, goes right into the nub, and then this just covers it. Of course, Unaka wants their title on the outside. I'll give them that. It's a nice system. I really like it. So we do that, and then we're going to attach the roof rack mounts right on top of that, and that goes right into it. Pretty easily there. Now I'm considering putting some Loctite. It recommends it, and I might do that. I have to go find my Loctite, But that's how it goes, and then that will mount here on the inside track to this with some of the other mounting hardware that they have. I think it's this right here, and that'll be what we're going to do all up and down this to get this done. So yeah, it'll just fit in here. These bolts will fit in here. The washer slides in there the other way, slides in there, and the bolt goes on top of it. I'm pretty sure that these are for that. So I'll make sure, and then we'll start mounting them all. Boom! Yeah, so it seems like the easiest way to do it is just stick two in each side on here, and then have your two ready to go on the back, and then you can go ahead and get the plate mounted, connected, lined up, and then I line up the outside two first, and then the inside two are easier, and that's it. Alright, so 80-20 is a little bit of a puzzle all the time, because you gotta make sure that you're putting your T-nuts in the slots before you try to connect and close things. So you have to put these in here prior to getting ready to place those over them. So you got to have two on each side, for instance, and then you also got to remember you're going to be mounting it to this. You got to have two on this side, one on each side, ready to go as well. And then I just remembered also that, well, between these connection points, so once these are all mounted, it's going to take away the ability to add more T-nuts later. So if you want to have a T-nut, let's say for, in the middle here for the future, because I might want to stick an eye bolt in here or something so I can strap something down later, and that's really one of the big attractions to this. Once you put like this over it, you can't get in there anymore to slide anything either, and so you have to kind of know where your connection points are and where your closing off sliding points. So our top sliding points, I'm probably just going to end up putting a couple of these T-nuts in certain areas, and I don't know if it's going to make noise or what, or I got to do maybe a twist tie or something so I can have them in there just waiting for when I'm ready to use them. And also the other thing I noticed is that the hardware is all the silver colored, and on some of the photos they have, they're all the black anodized just like this, so these are going to stick out a little bit too. I might actually paint them later, but that's just some thoughts as I'm doing this. Okay, just to share with you, here's top secret method number 2 that's pretty dang easy. You just can put all of these on there first, and you can slide them all in together. So that's saving me some time about lining anything up. There's what it looks like too. The top part's already been hand tightened down. I got these in there, and I think we have some on this side already ready to go as well. Boom. And so that's part of the process, but that's what it looks like. I'm actually enjoying it once it gets going. Here's another thing that's pretty interesting. So right in here, and you're not able to get it because of the sunlight, that's the actual seam. So these things actually need to be held together. You actually need to hold these to press these sides together, because once it's tightened, that's where it's loading it at. So a second ago I had like a 1/4 inch gap there, so then I had to come in and adjust this in, and so once it's set, see there's the middle part, so I got to center that here ideally. I also got to make sure that it's at the appropriate area for my wind fairing in the front. I need about a little space up there, so I'm just kind of dry fitting it, I guess what you call it now. And so these things can all move a little bit, which is very interesting. You want to be able to center all this first before you tighten it too much, because it needs to, if you want to get the spacing between these two to line up with the actual seam, to line up with the middle of this, because this can't move, but this can slide back and forth if it's loose, and that's what, see, you can slide this back and forth. See, and these can be separated like that. There's a huge gap right there. So you have to slide them together. See that? Boom, slide them together, and then center that on top of there, all simultaneously. And then once it's kind of lined up nicely, then you can start tightening this down. And kind of make sure your wind fairing is, you got to make sure that your wind fairing is ready to, is the appropriate angle too. So after going back and forth a little bit, here's what I'd recommend. So you do have to put these two, this bar and this bar together, these side rails together, and they're going to be mounted on the second rail depending on your configuration, but this is the way mine came. The shorter piece was in front here, and the longer piece went all the way, you see the leaves all the way to the back. And then they have to be centered on here and then mounted with 1 and 2 brackets here, that these plates that keep them fastened. Then you just got to make sure that they're, you know, together. The side rails are, and then all of this you've already put in your T-nuts on this side, and this side, 4, 4, and 2, 1 on each side here of this one, ready to go. And then what I did is I held them together. When I'm not filming, I held them both together, got them as good as I could, then tightened this side down, and then made sure that I was holding this steady in there, tightened this one down, and not full tight, but just tight enough to hold it. And then that allowed me to tighten this one, and then go, and I did this other plate on the side plate second. And then now these are loose enough that I could actually move this whole thing back and forth. But my side rail now, my side rails are now steady. They're together very solidly. So I can eventually come back and adjust that when I put my wind fairing in the front to make sure that that's spaced correctly. And then once I know that that's spaced correctly on both sides, with my wind fairing and the crossbar in the front, then I can go ahead and tighten these down. And because this actually sets the distance front and back right now. The fact that this is here, and I can decide what I want to do with it now that this is one solid, one unit. I can adjust slightly back and forth to make sure that my wind fairing's fine and everything else is lined up. That's my recommendation. So I got the side rails kind of just up there. I haven't fitted the rest of them yet, because now all I'm going to do is put my wind fairing on and then kind of test how far it needs to be, and then tighten down the outside points, bolts, so that that doesn't move anymore once I get the wind fairing at the right angle, so on the front. I got a wind fairing! Yes! Okay, so first part of putting in the roof rack is, since I'm putting in a wind fairing, the wind fairing determines the actual length. So this is facing me. This is as it would look from the front of the vehicle. There's the wind fairing, my first solar panel we mounted. So the great thing about, 80/20, it's beautiful. This stuff is awesome. I love the idea of it being modular and having so many sections, but you got to be good at math or placement or whatever it's called, because you got to think about all this stuff before, because once it slides in, you can't add it in later. You'd have to take everything out. So I'm looking at my wind fairing. It has 5 mount points, right? So as you can see, there's one. I placed one. This will be for my solar panel bracket. So boom, that's it. There's another one, and there's another one. Now this will eventually attached to the rest of my side rails, and so either way, I forgot they said this, that I could turn, I guess this way, there you go, like that. Anyways, I gotta also then have those ready to go, those nuts on the end here, but at least these, once this is on, I can add those later. Once these are on, I can't slide anything in here, so I just gotta count them all up and make sure they're lined up. They don't even have to be lined up, I just have to count them correctly and make sure that my extras are in there for the solar panels. So when I get the flush mount brackets, they can go on the solar panel and they come up on here and attach. And per the diagram that Unaka sent me, that's kind of how it looks. So pretty good information from them. You just got to think it through a little bit, because you don't really get that exact information on where to place everything. Boom. So once again, here's what the placement of everything on the roof will look like. Solar panel configuration, max fan in the middle, and then our wood platform that we're gonna have, wood deck on top. And then there's our cross rail. So I'm gonna start with this one because in the front of this is where that wind fairing is going to sit. So I'm gonna grab this now, since I already have the side rails on the roof, and we're gonna add that and see how it works. Something we learned about moving things around in the channel here is that the Allen wrench that actually, this is a 3/16 I think, works great with just moving these things around and lining them up, so that makes it slightly easier. Boom. Okay, so next I'm going to be adding the wind fairing. This wind fairing is also ordered from Unaka, and it mounts onto the existing 80/20, and it allows us to not get as much noise on the with the stuff on top. So since we're gonna have solar panels and our platform, this actually allows the wind to kind of come up and over and not create as much noise, because our front is gonna have the solar panel attached. So that's where we're going to mount. So this is actually going to determine where exactly it sits, even though Unaka gives me some idea that it's 5.75 inches. You know, it's 5 inch something over that first nub that it should be mounted. Still, they suggest to mount it to a cross bracket and then space it to where it's not getting in the way of anything, like the lights in the front. It's not interfering or resting on anything that it shouldn't be. Okay, so I got the fairing up here, and it actually mounts pretty nicely right on top of this. And this is the front. It has this cover for now that you peel off, but that's what it is. This front is flexible, and then it mounts directly right on. You can see it if I'm getting. It's really sunny out here. It mounts with the brackets right on. And this is going to go a little bit lower, so I got to get that on the front here. It's really bright and sunny. I'm going to see how the video comes out. But it fits perfectly right before the lights there. It actually fits right nicely in front of that. So I'm going to get it, and then after that's done, I can determine how forward or back this needs to be tightened down at. Okay, so I'll try to show you with one hand here. That kind of mounts right on top of there. I got to just center it and then bolt it down. Then I'll stick it up there. That's what we're doing. So when we got night work, luckily the garage has a little lip that's almost the same height as that. So our ladder comes right up here. Stick our work light right on there, because even though it's only 6:30, the sun's going down now pretty fast. So we got work light now for the rails. Fan building. So we just found out that I put these on, these feet facing in, they should be turned around so that I get a wider, I elected for the wider roof rack mount. So the cross rails that we're trying to mount them didn't fit because, well, it's supposed to be mounted on the outside. So we're moving it now, and we're about to find out if that works better. All right, so we're finding a little shortcuts on this because we're actually putting those on first and then just sliding it in. And I'm gonna do the other side now, and then we'll have this dang thing mounted the proper distance with the proper width. What do you think?
So, well, I just want to say specifically what we're doing too.
Well, do you think this has been a hard one?
Heck yeah. It's been
like a puzzle.
It's a total puzzle, and you just kind of have to laugh at it and laugh at yourself, and
yeah. You got to remember to put in.
Just try it again.
Yep, you have to remember to put in ones like this. This is for the solar, and then put this all. And I'll talk later about the wide mount versus the narrow mount of those brackets. So let's finish this up. So we're doing a couple of things. We have to preload some of these because once we close off this rail, you're not going to be able to put anything in it again. So what we're going to do is preload 2 extra T-nuts in between the brackets so that we have additional anchor points in the future. So it's a lot, like I said, a lot of math and a lot of figuring this out before you do it. So this is the center line for our wood platform up here. There's the back and there's the middle of the van. those rails are gonna go. But this one we decided to mount this L bracket, which kind of comes like this. We're gonna mount it underneath. That way, just because of some of the spacing of some of these things, we decided to leave those where they're at. And we exchanged those ones for putting these for here so we could have some more support rather than those. And I don't know if that's better or not, but once we realized we could, I don't know if this is even the structurally right way to do it, but once we realized we could mount it on the bottom, it's probably the same amount of strength. So that gives us this whole top rail free from the end. We're gonna put end caps on, but then we can put more washers in here without having to remove anything. And that is pretty neat because then we can now put more in later. I guess that's it. Okay, so genius move number 340. I'm not keeping count. I'm actually making as many stupid moves. I'm making genius moves. So rather than try to line them up, I just got this spaced, and then I'm gonna slide them in here as such. All that was one unit down, and that'll save me a little bit of time. I can't do it with one hand, but it's gonna save me some time, and I can just get both brackets in now. Oh wow, we can't believe it. We actually got the structure in the 80/20 frame.
This is taking a little bit of time.
Time figuring out algebra. That's why I can't get it. Algebra and arithmetic. No, it's just counting everything and then tightening, retightening. We ended up putting one of our things that are meant for the top, actually, put them underneath, which made it a little bit harder. And then we're putting our wood platform on top of here, so we had to preload our bolts, and that's going to be T-nuts into there, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult to do. And our solar's going in front, max air fan there, but at least we got this structure. I really like the quality of this. I might do a video later of what I would have done to make it easier, but for now we're happy we got that in. So the next step is
to go get those beautiful pieces of wood and bring them up here. See how we can get those lined up perfectly, and over our nuts over the little holes.